Well, I am extremely overwhelmed right now. There's about 1,000,000 thoughts going on in my head. My hands are super sweaty. My heart is just racing. And the best part about that is we've all been there before. We've all been overwhelmed, and we've all been stressed out. We've all been anxious, we've all been nervous, and we've all been a little worried. Hi, my name is Jonathan Clements. Dinkle just said it. And for my SLE, I was a media producer at Highlands Church. There we go, there's that. So when I say the word overwhelmed, there might be a certain person, maybe people, maybe things, maybe a group of things, work, your personal life, whatever, that overwhelms you. For me, there's one image that sums it up perfectly. That. So there's a lot of buttons, there's a lot of levers, there's a lot of dials, there's a lot of gauges, switches, doodads, and there's an iPad. Horrifying. But let's take it back real quick before we get to this spot. I love photography, videography. I love media production. So I actually worked with this church a bit before my actual SLE. I got some photos, took some photos, made some videos, and I never really felt too overwhelmed just kind of circling the stage with the camera or sitting in the office editing or talking to anyone about it or doing anything. I never got really too overwhelmed. That changed when I reached out to Brett. He's the media producer there. He runs everything, pretty much, that church puts out. And I asked him about working in the tech booth. And the tech booth has always been kind of this mystical place for me because I see presentation in three ways. You have your presenters, you have the crowd, and then you have the tech. And each have their own certain part that do their own certain thing. Let's go back to this. 2 hours before the service, in front of 200 people, I was put in front of that. Now, I've never seen that before. I had never heard of that before. A soundboard and the tech? Oh my God, what? What is that? And I stood there horrified. I looked at it and I couldn't think, oh, there's a person next to me. Oh, there's this. I couldn't think. I just locked in. What does that dial do? What does that gauge do? What's gain? What's this? And everything just went out of my head and I started thinking about 100 million things. Well, Brett didn't leave me hanging. He walked me through it a bit, whatnot. And I thought, after a little while, okay, I got the volume down. That's about it. But then he starts talking about phantom power. Phantom power? What's that? Condenser volume. Condenser volume? Feedback. All these things that he didn't inform me before the service, which was great. So we went into the service, and I thought nothing of it. I thought, okay, I'm a tech guy. If something happens, if something goes wrong, no one's going to know it's me, right? And the first thing they get when they start in the service is she steps up and goes, I would like to thank who's in the tech booth today, Jonathan Clements. Oh. So now everyone knows my name, and everyone knows that if there's feedback, if there's a weird sound, if there's a loud sound, if it's too quiet, if they can't hear it, it's me in front of 200 people. As soon as that was said, I instantly locked in again. I couldn't think, I couldn't process, I couldn't do my job, I couldn't figure out anything that was going. Well, science is pretty cool, right? There's a thing called the amygdala hijack, which happens back here in our brains, in our limbic system. It's pretty responsible for a lot of things, mostly our emotions, mostly me being overwhelmed right now. It pumps adrenaline into the body. It really controls that fight or flight. And I'm sure we've all heard the fight or flight. We've all heard of our reptile brain. We've all kind of heard of that stuff. So for some reason, this soundboard right there triggered a leopard jumping out at me in the forest. I saw it and just got so overwhelmed, so nervous, so anxious that I couldn't focus. I only saw this and I just had to react. And that's not the right way to go being overwhelmed. Like I said earlier, we have all been overwhelmed. It's something that will happen in life, is gonna happen in life, and will continue to happen in life. We have to deal with that. And there's a really great way to fight this hijack, specifically the amygdala hijack. It's breathing. That's it. Science has a really good way of saying oxygen helps your brain, and we're like, yeah, that makes sense. And for anyone who's ever taken a deep breath when they're nervous, it really, really helps. A lot of the great athletes, we see them perform in high-pressure situations. It's game 6, the whole game's on the line, and they make the shot. These are what make the great athletes great, is that overwhelming pressure. And I believe all of us can be great if we learn how to deal with that. Moving forward with this, I never became comfortable with this. I never became unanxious when I went with this. I never learned to not be nervous when I was sitting there doing the audio for 200 people to hear. I never got over it. But I learned and sat there, okay, like I said, there's 3 bubbles. There's the presenters, there's the crowd, and there's the technicians. And I can only control my bubble. I can only control that one slider. I can only control what happens on channel 13. I can only control if I'm getting feedback on keys. I can't control someone in the crowd doing this, someone in the crowd doing that. I think it's almost essential in life to sit there and take a moment to breathe when you become overwhelmed with whatever it is, no matter how small, how big, to breathe, realize what dial you can turn down, what level you can turn down, and what you can do about it. Thank you.